I'm totally baffled. At the end of the day, we're supposed to be scientists, and I've never had conversations like I'm having in my entire career. What's very upsetting is people don't realize that they've been politicized. So I've talked to some friends who are more on the left, and I get that they can't see their politics. But I've talked to a lot of people who I think aren't particularly political at all, but they've been so heavily influenced by the media that they'll say things to me like it's not safe. And I said, show me the evidence that it's not safe. It's a straw man to say that it's not safe. It's not a real argument. So as soon as somebody says to me it's not safe, I know that our conversation is over. They don't understand.
Well, if it's not safe, have they been baffled by your hospital's turnaround?
Right. So no, which I find the amnesia very, very upsetting.
The amnesia, what a great term.
It's very upsetting. There's so many things about this situation that are so disturbing. I think it bothers me more because of my law background as well, because I see the threat is legal and the threat is not really medical at this point. That's not to minimize anyone's suffering, of course. But we need to look at the facts. We need to make decisions for society based on the facts.
So have you seen people now, not outpatient, inpatient, that the COVID-19 was serious enough for them to be hospitalized in the last 2 weeks? Are you familiar with any of those patients being given hydroxychloroquine?
Yes. No, absolutely. I think it's really standard.
And what have the results been?
I wouldn't be in a position to say. I really think you have to wait for the data. But of the data that's available now, all of it is either beneficial or can't say. So
would you recommend it? Would you recommend it as a prophylactic?
That's a really tough question. I'm so glad you asked that. For people to understand how political this issue has become, I absolutely would recommend it prophylactically, but I can see also holding off to wait to see if you've got an exposure. And I want to point out to your listeners that we don't recommend it prophylactically for healthcare workers. I think it's a good question, but the country of India does recommend it. It's their national policy that healthcare workers should take it. So I want your listeners to understand that there's a big debate out there. You're just not hearing about it in America.
Well, they're hearing about it on this show.
Exactly.
I will tell you that they're not hearing about it on CNN or in the New York Times, which continues to write articles against hydroxychloroquine. This is truly corruption, because moral corruption, because the science has taken a back seat to hatred of the president.
Right, but I'm most disturbed about the people who don't understand that they've been politicized. So when people are talking about the heart problems with the hydroxychloroquine, I want your listeners to be the first people, lay people to understand. They're going to start hearing about some cases, right? Only because tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of people are now going to be prescribed this drug, maybe even in the millions. Our president ordered 29 million dosages. So, of course, a couple of people here and there will have some side effects just based on the numbers. And I believe that the media will spin that and say this person died from this. But obviously, you have to look at the numerator and the denominator.
Are you alone in your thinking in your hospital among your colleagues?
Okay, so this is a good story. I'm not alone. I would say I'm in the minority. I don't know what it would be like in a different part of the country, but I will tell you that 2 doctors have come to me to get the COVID test. Both of them said they would absolutely take it. They were upset the test was negative because they wanted to start the medicine. They both had the medicine, and they both wanted to start the medicine. So, I think what people say publicly and maybe what they do privately might be different. Yeah.
Will they know that you were on this show?
So I'm not sure. Probably someone will say, but I'm not discussing. I think my hospital is actually a very good hospital. I think their response has been really, they've stood up. I don't think they're doing any different than other mainstream hospitals in terms of the hydroxychloroquine. I think they're in the middle of the pack. So I really don't have anything against my hospital. They've been very good with the PPE, and they've been treated the nurses very well. So I've got no complaints. My concern is that people have become politicized. And that's okay, but I don't think patients understand this. You read the headlines, and it's not at all being reported in a balanced way.
That's right.
For example, they're speculating that Trump would make money off hydroxychloroquine.
I know.
My head up.
It's mind-blowing. Yes. I'm curious,
Yeah,
if you were the advisor to Governor Newsom, what would you say he should do as of May 1st?
I think the economy closing was a mistake. I think the economy absolutely should be opened, and I use as supporting data for that I think it seems to me about 50% of our businesses are open. When you look at the mail and UPS and supermarkets and pharmacies, a lot of businesses are open. We've also had a period of time in America where we've adapted our social behaviors a bit to understand this. So I don't know why you couldn't take that into a work environment. I go to work every day. The nurses go to work every day. So we could adapt, and the harm is very real. As you've talked about, if people are out of work, it leads to all kinds of health and personal issues.
Would you go to a restaurant if one were open?
So I would. I don't know what he's going to do about restaurants. I'm very surprised this has become as big a political economic problem as it has, because this is a disease that really kills sick patients. It also, elderly are vulnerable as well, but it's mainly people with pre-existing conditions, and I'm not unsympathetic to that.